Dear students, from this class onwards, we are going to revise important concepts in business analytics. In this particular video, I, Dr. Poonima AS, am going to take you through business analytics definition and important concepts. Okay, so now, why is business analytics improved? I mean, if you are asked for a 10-mark question, how to answer for business, what are the different steps in business analytics, you have to start with an introduction. Now, what is the introduction you're going to give? You have to talk about the importance of business analytics for organizations. Today, they are exploiting business analytics to enable proactive decision making. What is proactive decision making? Proactive means acting before the event has happened. For example, you will not ask for, before you take your vehicle for service, even though you know that it is running properly, you still take it for service. Why? Because to prevent further failures. This is proactiveness in your part. For example, in COVID-19 right now, what we are going through, Tamil Nadu government gives data every day on how many number of COVID cases that have been reported that particular day. Why do we do that? In order to plan for space, for example, a quarantine center. So many colleges have been taken as quarantine center. So many centers, previously only government hospitals were given the license to declare whether the patient is COVID or not. Some private labs have been given. Now, why was that? Because looking at the data, the government was sure that the number of cases are going to go up from now onwards. They required space. They required more PPE kits. They required more masks. They required more hand gloves. They required more ventilators. Looking at these data, today there are 10,000. Tomorrow there might be 12,000. We already have about 10,000. So let us organize for 10,000 more kits. That is the insight it gives you. So the business analytics is going to help you do that. It helps in data-driven decision making. I just explained how it is. Now, what is the process? It is also the process of collection, aggregation of data. First, there are various processes. First, you have to collect data. Like, for example, how many patients were diagnosed with COVID-19, aggregate the data, and transform the data into actionable insights. Thus, after this, we have to convert business data to information, to knowledge. What is the data? The COVID data, the number of people who die every day is the COVID data. This data has to be converted to information saying that if this is the data today, what is the forecast for tomorrow? So if you say that if you have a forecasting model, we are actually using an exponential forecasting model, we will convert data to information. Then that information is converted to knowledge. For example, I had given you a small assignment in which you were supposed to analyze the number of confirmed cases versus different states, that is the southern states of Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra, and Telangana, the 5 different states. Now, I asked you to analyze whether, using one way ANOVA, tell me whether that any particular state is more prone to getting COVID, more prone to have more COVID cases than the others. Now, you applied one way ANOVA and told me Tamil Nadu has got more number of cases than the rest of the state. Now, this is the information I have got. So with this information, I know if I get as a country head of the, I mean, if I'm the Prime Minister, I will know that I have to distribute more number of ventilators to Tamil Nadu compared to the other 4 different states. I cannot divide it equally. So this data became information by one way or another. That information you developed useful insights that became knowledge. So this is about the introduction. Now there are 7 steps. One is define the business need. Define the business need is the first step. Explore the data is the second step. Analyze the data is the third step. Predict what's likely to happen, the fourth step. Optimize and find the best solution is the fifth step. Sixth step, make a decision and measure the outcome. Seventh step is update the system with the results of the decision. So these are the various 7 steps in decision making in business, in business analytics. Now let us understand what is defining the business need. Area of improvement. Should I improve some area? If I'm making, a company is making a loss in a particular consumer segment, how can I improve it? What problem needs to be solved? Now, in country is affected by COVID-19. So the number of patients are all increasing day by day. Now, the services required, for example, we require quarantine centers, we require ventilators, we require hand gloves. So how we can distribute this to various states? Now we break the goal into smaller goals. For each state, what are the number of COVID cases? For each city, what are the number of COVID cases? So we are using business users with domain knowledge and business analysts, both. That is, domain knowledge are the doctors, are the healthcare workers, and analysts are the business analysts who are experts in data analytics. Then you have to determine what the data is needed. For this data, you want to know for the next 1 month, how many number of cases is going to happen in each of these states. When the forecast is right, so you know the data, what data is available, you first see whether the COVID data is available, how we can use it to build a forecast. You can compare between different countries and also build a forecast. Do we have sufficient data? Must be answered. It must be answered. So in this first step, that is, let me take you to the previous slide. In defining the business need, that is the first step, you determine the areas of improvement, what problems need to be solved, and determine what data is needed, what data is available, how we can use it, and do we have sufficient data. Now, next step is exploring the data. This stage, when you get the data from different sources in covid19india.org, you get the different data, you clean the data, make computations for the missing data, remove outliers. Okay, remove outliers. For example, in this diagram, everything falls around a cluster here, but there is one point which is outside. For example, it may take today, I mean, there has been 30, 40 like that. Suddenly there was a spike in number of COVID cases one day, and again it fell down. So this is something which has happened without somebody's knowledge. So you remove that outlier, transfer combinations of variables to form new variables. Time series graphs are plotted and they are able to indicate the patterns or outliers. The removal of data outliers from the data set. Step 3 is analyzing the data. When I asked you to analyze which particular state is more prone to COVID, you simply put one way ANOVA and give me the answer Tamil Nadu. You can also form simple regression analysis to find if this many cases are there, how many ventilators are required. You can make a regression analysis saying that, okay, there are 12,000 cases, each patient requires one ventilator, so you need 12,000 ventilators. And for this, you also have to know how many people have recovered because those ventilators can be used. So different groups are compared. What age group are getting more? Like for example, are males getting more than females? Are aged people getting more, are more prone to corona than the rest of it? Everything can be compared. It is at this stage that data is cut, sliced, and diced, and different comparisons are made trying to derive actionable insights from the data. Step 4, predict what is likely to happen. Business analytics is about being proactive in decision making. Proactive means before the problem happens itself, we are well prepared. For example, if we know in next 10 days, on 28th May, we are going to have about 15,000 corona active cases in Tamil Nadu. We will be well prepared by organizing the ventilators, etc., and keeping it in place so that all patients are given the treatment they deserve. We will also require some space. That is how the Vaishnav College, etc., were taken as quarantine centers. Analysts will model the data using predictive techniques that include decision trees, neural networks, and logistic regression. These techniques will cover insights and patterns that highlight the relationship and the hidden evidence among the most influential variables. Okay, with that, the analyst will then compare predictive values with actual values and compute the predictive errors. Several predictive models are run and the best performing models selected based on model accuracy and outcomes. So this was about the 4th stage, what is likely to happen. Okay, so we predict, okay, and then say ANOVA, regression, etc. We predict how many cases are going to happen in COVID, and then explain what is, and then what I'm not sure, and then say what is it that you are going to do, what action is required from your side. Okay, so by find the best solution with predictive models and run what if scenarios using targets set up by managers to determine the best solution with the given constraints and limitations. For example, you may have about 20,000 corona cases, but you may not be able to have the required number of ventilators. So at that point in time, there is a constraint. Under this constraint, how is it that you are going to plan? So should you go in for private hospitals? How do you procure? Because if you have to import ventilator, it is going to be difficult. How about manufacturing the PPE kit? So all this will be taken in. So when corona cases started, there was not a single PPE kit which was produced in the country. Now 2 lakh kits per day is produced. So this is all the planning to find the best solution and lowest error management targets, and his intuitive recognition are most aligned to organization strategic goal. The analyst will then make decision and take action based on the derived insights from the model and organization goals. Appropriate period of time after this is step 6, and the outcome of action is then measured. Updating the system with results of discussion. After this, result is measured, and again appropriately the database is again said, okay, this many people have recovered, so this many ventilators are not required. So like that, we update the systems with the results of discussion and then find out how best we can do this. So these are the various 7 steps in business analytics. More to come in the next stage, more to come in my next video. Thank you very much for patient listening. I'm signing off now. ಹಲೋ, ಹೇಳು ರಶ್ಮಿ, ಹೇಗಿದೆಯಾ? ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀನಿ.